So we're here talking to Josh, LTSC's Director of Homeless Services, who oversees services for unhoused clients like housing navigation and case management. So Josh, thanks for talking to us today.
Sure. Thanks, Andrew. Excited to talk about Measure A.
So for those of us who live in LA County, we've got something called Measure A on our ballots in November. So big picture, what does this mean for us?
So Measure A is a half cent proposed sales tax increase in LA County, and the goal is to continue to address homelessness and affordable housing needs throughout the county. And so, although the increase is less than 1 cent, meaning you won't really feel it when you're making purchases. In total, it's expected to generate over $1 billion annually to increase services and increase our affordable housing supply. The plan is that the ballot initiative should lead to more affordable housing, more eviction prevention services, more job training and employment services, more support for mental health and substance use treatment. So not only is it expected to expand these services, but it should also reduce wait times so that people don't have to wait as long to access these services. And the other important thing, I think, for LA County residents to know is that there's a much stronger plan than in the past for accountability. So the public will really be able to see how and where these funds are spent, so we can kind of all collectively determine that they're making the difference that we want them to.
So how would Measure A impact the work that you do at LTSC and homeless services?
We're sort of meeting our clients at all different areas, kind of the homeless experience or the homeless service spectrum. And there's almost no area of that wouldn't be strengthened by Measure A. So one recent example is we recently moved a client into permanent supportive housing. He'd been living in Skid Row for close to a decade, but had really only been working with our team for around 2 to 3 years. Our case managers had spent all of those years working to get him connected to a housing opportunity. He had all his documents. He was ready for housing. He was ready to start working, but there just weren't any openings for him because there's so many people in need of housing and just not enough units available in our system. So now that he's finally housed as part of his housing program, he'll receive mental health services, case management, assistance obtaining employment, all these different resources to help ensure that he's as stable and successful as he transitions into his new home. And so this is great news for him, but it's also hard to not think about all the trauma, stress, violence that he endured that maybe could have been avoided if he hadn't had to wait so long to find housing. And Measure A would expand those resources so that people can get housed faster, so that rather than waiting 2 years, 3 years, that when we find someone who is ready, who's ready to get inside, is working with our team, there will be resources available in our system for them. One of the major components of Measure A is eviction prevention, which is new. We haven't really seen any major ballots designed to provide services that actually prevent people from losing their homes. Um, and the goal is that again, Measure A would provide funds for rental assistance or legal support for families at risk of losing their housing. And our team regularly receives calls or drop-in visits, often from seniors in their 60s, 70s, 80s, who are at risk of ending up on the street, sometimes due to just one or two missed rent payments or due to potentially illegal evictions. Measure A would help us ensure that these folks are able to stay in their homes or at least quickly relocate to new housing so that more people don't end up on the street. And one, this is essential because, of course, especially seniors, family with children, we don't want anyone losing their housing. But also, we can keep moving people into housing, which is amazing. But if we actually want to make a dent in homelessness, we have to prevent more people from becoming homelessness in order to see things improve. So Measure A providing resources to prevent evictions would really help us do that.
So for anyone watching this, what steps should they take next?
The steps that anyone watching this can take next would be to make sure you're registered to vote and vote yes on Measure A. And we also encourage people to learn more about Measure A and do research for themselves so they have all the information they need to make an informed decision. And they can visit measureafacts.com to learn more about what's on the ballot.